Good evening. Welcome back to the third tier. And what a weekend it was. Goals galore, some shock results, and a lot to talk about. I'm glad to be back from a holiday, and I'm even more glad to introduce Matt. I think, Matt, you've done more shows than me now. I think. Good evening, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well, result aside, at the weekend, and I've just spilt beer. So onwards and upwards.
Oh, they say bad luck comes in threes, so fingers crossed you stub your toe tonight.
Yeah, before I go to Wimbledon tomorrow evening, hopefully. But yeah,
Uh,
aside from that, I'm all good. I'm off work at the moment, so can't complain. Just been to the zoo all day today, so a bit knackered. But I've sent all the kids upstairs, and I'm having a beer and talking about football, so we're fine.
Fantastic. All right. Good evening, Ian. Good evening, Les. Good evening, Andy. Good to have you on. No further ado, let's crack on into today's topics. So we're going to start a bit with some League One news. Obviously, over the weekend, MK Dons announced their new manager. Liam Manning announced the MK Dons over the weekend. Only 35. Left the Belgian side Lommel on Wednesday evening to replace Russell Martin at the helm at the Stadium MK. It's his first managerial post in England, but he's had a lot of involvement, obviously, over the years. Born in Ipswich and having involvement with the club early 2000s. He spent a lot of time in academies. He was headhunted by West Ham's academy, and his work with the likes of, I think, Declan Rice, Reece Oxford. Is a manager that likes to play football and is going to carry on. I think he believes a lot in the youth system. I think he will bring a similar style of football to what Russell Martin brought in, and I think it's a good addition to carry on where his last sort of manager left off. And it's a bit of a shrewd appointment, isn't it, Matt? Because it was one of these ones where you didn't really know who was going to come in. There was talks of what's his name at Derby, Jody Morris coming in. Sorry, yeah, and out of the blue, this sort of name appeared, and it was almost like it was a done deal as the rumor sort of came to fruition. So I don't know your thoughts on the appointment. I know you don't know too much about him. We all don't to some extent, but is it a gamble, or do you think it's quite a clever appointment?
Ask me, excuse me. Ask me in 6 months, I suppose. I just trying to do a bit of research before we come on here, and you've covered it. That's literally there is. I think he was at West Ham for a little while as well, and he's worked as an academy director in the Major League Soccer with New York City. But aside from that, especially English experience, none. So certainly an intriguing appointment, I think, is probably the best word to describe it. I'm not sure we can say it's shrewd yet because only results will tell and performances and time will tell. And you're probably better off asking someone like Jonathan, who's just said, evening, guys. He's an MK Dons fan, and he'll be the person to ask, and the MK podcast as well, because they're going to be watching him and his team over the coming weeks on a regular basis. But at the moment, it's certainly one to keep an eye on with interest, because there's a lot of unknown elements, certainly for people that are not fans of MK Dons.
Yeah, it's one of those ones a bit out of the blue, a bit similar to when sort of Blackpool put Critchley in charge. In my opinion, it was a bit of a gamble, but the moment they started speaking and addressing sort of the fans, and his interviews have been quite decent. I think John tweeted out earlier that he said he's speaking about the purpose of MK and how he wants to play football. And I know all managers are going to give you a similar sort of, I don't know, jargon, as it were, when it comes to football, but he has worked with a lot of youth. He believes in attacking football, playing the football the right way, in inverted commas, if you're listening to this back. But you saw on Saturday, and we'll come on to the game in a little bit, but I think they had something like 63% possession, and that'll be a carry on from obviously the previous manager, but also he's got to implement his game plan and what he wants as well. So for me, I don't know who else you were going to get in that would come in such short notice, but I think they've gone down quite a good route considering the squad they've got as well. But time will tell on that one. Tom BA FC Javo, what striker should Burton Albion go for on loan, I assume? Come on to
Burton. Kindy on a permanent, and then we can free up some wages to get some players in. That'd be great. There we go. That's that one sorted. Agent Matthew working his magic. Next one.
Ready? You think you've got problems? I fell over outside the news on after the Aki Carabao Cup tie and cracked 3 ribs. Jeez, hope good.
Well,
quick yeah, quick recovery. Evening, James. I bet you're buzzing after the weekend. Ian's added, any manager appointment is a risk, high or low profile. I can't disagree with that at all. You bring someone in who you think's going to do really well, and they're under pressure almost immediately. So it's a very good point, Ian. Even Matt and Tom, great win for Argyle this weekend. Sorry, Matt, but Jeff got a goal was very good, and the win was for the fans because of Thursday's situation. And Gill's manager, we thanked for the great words. Yeah, absolutely. Our thoughts are with those involved. As we tweeted out as well, it's a horrendous situation, but it's certainly, it's certainly decent that you won on the weekend for the people of Plymouth as well. But moving on to our next bit of League One news, we missed it today on the Twitter, but Matt, 2 very decent signings for Ipswich over the last couple of days, including today. Tom Carroll signed on loan. Tom Carroll signed for Town today, as well as Cameron Burgess from Aki a couple of days ago. Already done incredible business. Those 2 signings is just added just even more quality to their team. I don't know your thoughts on the signings, but
Burgess I think is a really good one. I think Andy Holt, the Accrington Stanley chairman, was on Twitter over the weekend explaining the reasons why he's gone and how it keeps the club going. And I think it's a great way to run a football club. There's transparency and information that goes out to the supporter base without telling them stuff that they don't need to know. I think he's very clever in that he gives information that he's allowed to give, keeps fans in the loop, and explains why. It keeps Accrington Stanley going, doesn't it? I know they're having refurbs around the stadium, so it's obviously going to go towards that and help John Coleman as well in terms of the playing staff. And it looks a very shrewd sign, and he's someone who knows the division. Decent experience, 25 years of age, played about 50 games for Accrington, didn't he? I think in a season. Yeah. So he's been at Salford previously. So interesting that he's come slightly further south, but the lure of Ipswich, who are massive in this division, there's no getting away from that. And Tom Carroll, was at Tottenham as a kid. He's played for Swansea. He's played for QPR. He looks a very good player. He's a very nice looking player, isn't he? He's probably almost like an MK Dons player. If you know, he's someone that's technically very good. If you give him time, he'll pick a pass and create chances and open sides up. But the only thing at the moment you have to say about Ipswich is it's just taking a little longer to gel than maybe we'd thought as people talking about them and as their fans had hoped. But I've got every confidence, and I have to say that because I've backed them to win the league, that Ipswich will come good. And once they get going, they're going to take some stopping. Burgess, and Carroll look 2 more very, very good additions at this level.
I did have to laugh because Harry Pell tweeted something along the lines of, he's the one that convinced me to come to the club. You'll love it here. You love the fans. You love the club. And then he said he sods off 2 weeks later. So I found that quite funny, but these things happen. Ian has said the frantic tractor boys signing could go horribly wrong. It's happened loads of times. I don't disagree, but I'm with Matt. I did tip them to win the league, and I think if you look at their stats and their expected goals, etc., I wouldn't be worrying if I was an Ipswich fan just yet. There's only 2 games in, and being a Blackpool fan, we know how badly the start of the season was for us last year, and their squad is a ton better than what we've got. So they've got the right man at the helm, and he'll be given some time. I don't think call it 10 games and they're in a bit of a rut. Either they will be panicking, but I think with their stats and the chances they're creating, I wouldn't be worrying too much. Good evening, Ben. Fleetwood out of the embargo, apparently. That is very good news for Fleetwood, who need some more additions to bolster that squad up. And he's put, the Tractor Boys need someone who can put pens away. 9 out of 9 before that one. How many misses against former club? But
he's looking after his mates when he throws.
Absolutely, yeah. 9 out of 9 though, and then what could have been the magic 10, but not to be. Great signs for Ipswich. The only thing is we'll be getting them settled. A team like Wycombe, no coincidence they're top. 4 teams, 4 teams with 100% record. And thank you, John, for confirming that. Andy Fraser 9 out of 9 for MK Dons, no issue. Not a great penalty, but we'll go on to that game now. Matt, your early thoughts on the game. It was, if you look at the games themselves, early signs is they might be taking a little longer than expected to get some consistency, but they dominated position on the weekend. I know they lost to Newport, but again, they had something like 26 shots. They couldn't quite kill the game. No. Sorry, in the cup.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said the weekend.
Apologies, it wasn't clear. Yeah, they had a lot of possession on the weekend, and that they lost to Newport as well in the cup, didn't they? But again, in that game, it was one where they had lots of possession and shots. They had similar amount of shots, but lots more possession, and they couldn't quite kill the game off. And Atkins' penalty after a miss of their own saw them take just 1 point from their first two. But a really decent victory for Burton, who keep their 100% record.
Yeah, definitely. And we had them as, well, I certainly had them as a team that will improve this season, a team that under Hasselbank certainly won't be anywhere near the bottom four places, but probably won't have enough to get in the playoffs. But they've started really well, and we talk about momentum in football all the time, and it's a really positive start at the Pirelli Stadium, and it's one of the big boys they've claimed the scalp of as well, and you can say it's probably an ideal time to be playing Ipswich while they're still trying to gel, and Paul Cook's trying to work out his best formation, his best 11, such are the options that he does have at his disposal. But take nothing away from Hasselbank's, man, it's a really, really good result. They went to Shrewsbury on the opening day and picked up a really good win and a clean sheet. They've come back from conceding a penalty. I think Tommy O'Connor, wasn't it? He's RX Gills' lone midfielder. He scored an own goal, gave away a penalty, and still comes out smelling of roses with 3 points. So he's had an all right afternoon in the end. Tweeted about Lucas Atkins over the weekend, didn't we, from the account? Still influencing games at 32. Played wide left, it looked like, at the weekend. Goal and an assist. You can't ask for much more. Composure for the first goal, playing in his teammate, and then equal composure from the spot to effectively win them the game. Yeah, so a really positive start for Burton Albion, and Ipswich, as we've already said, they will get going probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, otherwise your prediction myth might not yet be busted. For me, yeah, it's they play that. I think they're playing like 4-2, I think 3-1. But like I say, Atkins out wide, Powell in the middle, feeding Patrick, and they've got a few players out as well. And Malt being out, obviously, we discussed that on the 1-24s.
And Kane Hemmings, I think it is.
Yeah, Kane Hemmings, yeah,
as well from last season.
Yeah, he went on a mad run towards the end. Do you think this is a case of them kicking on from last season with a bit of momentum, or do you think they're here to stay this time around sort of the top half of the table? Obviously, we don't personally expect them to push on, but they are a well-drilled, organised side, and they've got two decent men at the helm, haven't they?
Yeah, they'll be absolutely fine. Like I said earlier, they're not going to be in any trouble at all. They've got a far too good a manager, a far too good assistant manager, and they've got good players. My only concern was a little bit of Stardust, a little bit of a goal scorer. Now Hemming and Malt are both injured, but they've scored 3 in their first 2 games. They've only conceded once, and they've started really well. So Burton fans will probably tell me that they're going to finish higher than I thought they would. I said 13th in my pre-season preview on my channel, but we all know what momentum does. If they start really well, then invariably they could be pushing towards the top 6.
Yeah, for sure. And this could be a season where we didn't know what to do really with 12 teams wanting promotion ultimately, 12, 13 teams. This could be one of these seasons where you see the likes of Oxford, Burton, etc. pushing up there. We'll have to see. Obviously, 2 games in, we can't really speak about where people are going to finish, but early signs are really good for Burton. And Ipswich, we'll see how they cope tomorrow and over the next few days. But if results don't start to pick up, then I don't think they'll be panicking as such, but the fans will want results soon, especially after the squad they've put together. But watch this space, I suppose, and we'll see next Monday where both these teams stand. Next game we're going to talk about is MK Dons Sunderland. Now, this game for me, I wish probably was one of those ones where you wish you were there to see these two squads go at it. It was a very, very decent game, judging by the stats. I've seen some extended highlights. MK Dons having a lot of the ball. I said earlier about 62% possession. I think they had about 17 shots, and Sunderland only had about sort of 12 in total. But Sunderland 1 doesn't show you possession wins you games, of course, as Derek Adams said last season, and a very good victory for Sunderland. Is it a case, do you think, that they probably played MK Dons as well at the right time with all the manager situation, and they're starting to sort of try and settle as well as Sunderland themselves, or do you think Sunderland will be quite consistent again this year just due to the experience they have?
They'll be there or thereabouts for sure, won't they? I mean, we've spoken about Charlie White plenty of times, and Graham, who's usually on with us, he's not a big fan of Charlie White in terms of he doesn't do anything apart from score. But if you score 30 goals a season, then generally people aren't going to complain. But Ross Stewart, him of varying Scottish nicknames at the moment, has scored 2 in 2. Elliot Embleton, who you know all about, very good again. I think he set up a goal last week. He scored a goal this weekend. So they've got people coming into that side that suddenly make them look a little bit more proactive, a little bit more busy around vital areas of the pitch. And at the moment, they look a very, very good League One outfit. They're signing well. They're bringing in people that know the division, or they're bringing in promising loans. My big concern with the Black Cats, and I've said this for the whole time we've been doing this podcast, is Lee Burge. And again, he nearly come back to bite him on the arse. A horrendous throw out down the middle of the park, which allowed Troy Parrott in to score and get MK Dons back into it. And on another day, you end up drawing the game, and it's a game that you're comfortable in, and you've ended up dropping points. But they got away with it. But Lee Bird shouldn't be their number one for me if they want to be getting into the automatic promotion places. He's just an accident waiting to happen too often for me. But aside from that, at the moment, they've made some really good additions, haven't they? We spoke about their lack of fullbacks on the first show. They've signed the lad Dennis Searching from Tottenham, who apparently was, or Kirkin, I don't know if I've pronounced that right.
I think, yeah.
Highly rated by Spurs fans. He's come in on a permanent. I think they signed another lad today, haven't they, on loan from Everton, centre forward. So
yeah, signed another striker today.
They've got, we all know about Callum Doyle, I think it is, the centre half from Man City, who looks like a Rolls Royce at the moment at 17 years of age. So, and they've still got Mr. McGeady, who's going to create you a million chances an afternoon. So they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, we said the 1 to 24 that will Stewart be the guy to replace Wycombe? We both said he certainly could be if he's on form and he's got 2 goals early doors. So he needs to be firing all cylinders, especially while the new lad will settle in. And like you said, McGeady creating chances, and their squad is still a joke for League One, isn't it? And it should be good enough to get into the playoffs at least. And they'll be expecting that this season. I thought Embleton's finish was I don't know, John might tell me he was at the game, but is a bit of a weird one because Embleton kind of scrambled to him. Everyone thought he was offside, but it was a cool finish in the end. But it was good for him to get his goal, and it was nice to see that Troy Parrott got off the mark as well. Robson, John's just commented on Robson. Robson very consistent so far. Parrott looking good so far. Charlton Ipswich up next, big test. Yeah, absolutely, and it's a big test for them as well. John, it's not just a big test for MK Dons anymore. They'll want to do well. Obviously, Charlton Ipswich will want to beat you, but at the same time, it wouldn't be a shock at the moment if you beat them as well.
None of them sides have won yet, have they? I don't think MK, Charlton or Ipswich, which is surprising.
Yeah, no, Ipswich drew and lost, didn't they? Charlton drew
and lost.
And MK
drew and lost.
Drew and lost, yeah. So early doors, obviously only 2 games, but I thought Robson's pass and Parrott's finish was superb. So it's good to see them combining, and again, just the way they're handling games at the moment, MK Dons, if they get going, then they could, again, we've predicted them to finish quite highly in our 124s. I think they'll be up there, but ultimately a very good win for Sunderland, and with them only adding additions and getting their squad bigger, I think they'll be consistent. But like I say, Lee Burge and Streaky Lee hopefully don't come to bite them in the arse. So again, watch this space for Sunderland. Next game I want to talk about is Cheltenham and Wycombe. Folks getting off the mark. But still in the headlines as Pendlebury, 2 superb finishes to sort of wrap up the game and to win 3-1. And Cheltenham had their chances. I don't know if you saw the highlights, but I think Alfie May went through at 1-1. Probably should do better. Good saves by Stockdale. He saved another good opportunity as well, but don't put away your chances and you get punished. And they weren't easy chances for Pendlebury to take, were they? But Kai's little layoff saw him put them in front with a nice finish. And the second one it's just a great smash across goal and wraps up the points for the Chairboys. But they look a very decent outfit and they've settled back to League One really well. And I think Ainsworth doing a really good job at just sort of making sure they stay consistent no matter what league they're in. They finished last season exceptionally well. Give them 1 or 2 more games, they would have survived, in my opinion. So I generally see them being quite consistent this year. I don't know your thoughts on the match.
Yeah, overall, Wycombe, I think they didn't lose many, did they, at all, really, from the squad that was in the Championship. They didn't really change much from when they got promoted season before last in the playoffs as well. And we said the players that they've lost, I think they've replaced adequately or more than adequately in this level. Ikpeazu, who's gone to Borough, Sam Vokes, underway now already. So that'll give him huge confidence. We spoke about Anya Dimner, who went to Luton. They bought in Sully Kai. I think that's a really good signing. But yeah, I think all the credit has to go to young Ollie Pendlebury at the weekend. composure, the biggest thing for me. 19 years of age, he could lash at either of them. You know, he could put his laces through and it ends up going over the bar. But he just controls the finish. They're not hit with no pace. Don't get me wrong, but they're really composed finishes and controlled finishes. And as you say, Cheltenham had their chances and their moments. And there's positive signs for Cheltenham as well. Michael Duff's team, but Wycombe just look a very well-oiled machine at the moment. I know we're only 2 games in, but they look very accomplished at this level. There's not many chinks in that armour, and they have decent options from the bench as well. And in Gareth Ainsworth, I've said it plenty of times, they've got one of the best in this division.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a lot of experience on the bench as well. Not only you got Akin Fenner as well, haven't you? So you can bring him on and he'll create opportunities regardless. Or if you want a bit of so to call it shithousery by holding the ball up or keeping it in the corner or just giving that a bit of experience, then he's certainly going to add that. But Cheltenham greater chances. They should have scored at 1-1. And like you say, Duff will be a man to not panic, and Cheltenham will need to pick up points, and they are the difference when you've got that bit of quality to score. But nonetheless, it's a really good win for Wycombe overall, and we'll see how Cheltenham hold out. They need to pick up some points soon, or should I say, pick up their wins soon. But you don't want them 5-6 games in just to worry. But we had them quite low down in our 1-24s. It's just scoring goals, isn't it? So we'll see what they can do in terms of taking their chances. Moving on to Pompey Crewe. Now, this was a game, and I'll hold my hands up. I didn't think Portsmouth would do, and I'll repeat, we're only 2 games in, but I didn't think Portsmouth initially would do too well. But they look very, very good on the attack, and their 2 goals on the weekend were decent, and specifically Marquise's goal, because it's a fantastic pass, but the finish was just a joke. Smashes it across goal, and for me it is one of those ones where Marquise is back on form, playing as a striker under the Cowleys. He's going to do some damage this season and ultimately put Portsmouth up that league. Do you agree?
100%. I wrote an article 2 weeks ago for my blog page and said that I did, a key player for each team. John Marquise is massively crucial to where Portsmouth end up this season. If he continues finishing like he did on Saturday, it's like you said, it's a phenomenal finish. It's championship quality, that finish. It's instinct. He knows where the keeper is. He knows where the far post is, and it just arrows in. And I think it's in the goal before the keeper's even really set himself, isn't he? And he doesn't cover himself in glory for the second, unfortunately.
No.
From Marcus Harness, and Ian Bradley's just taken the words right out of my mouth, which you've just put on the screen. Ryan Tunnicliffe was absolutely super. I think he was another one that we tweeted about. 3 key passes, 2 assists the week before as well. But, they've signed Conor Ogilvie. They've kept 2 clean sheets. They've won 2 out of 2, so they'll probably win the league.
Yeah, they're certainly... It's Cowley, I said a couple of weeks ago that he didn't panic, but he also stated that we're being out sort of spent and everyone's spending money and we're not. And I kind of felt it was like making excuses type thing, but they've certainly ticked over the signings over the past few weeks. And again, his managerial experience, or their managerial experience, should I say, and the squad that they still have is decent. If they had a few more, then they've got to bolster that. League One can be quite intense, or the EFL can be quite intense with how many games you play, and that's where MK Don.
We said this on the 1-24. We had them sort of mid-table, but you sign a couple and you start well, and we said there was a huge amount of flexibility that suddenly you could have 3 or 4 places difference either way. And it's the beauty of this division this season is that we've got so many teams, like you said, that there's probably 2/3 of the division think they can get in the top half, and there's probably half the division think they can get in the top 6. So there's going to be some really happy teams and fan bases come May, and there's going to be some that are really disappointed. So it's great to see how it unfolds, and it is very early and very embryonic at the moment. But yeah, Pompey, another team that have started like an express train.
Worrying signs for Crewe. I know they've got Dale, Mandron, Lundstrom in the midfield, but it's just a bit blunt at the moment, aren't they? Obviously, they've lost Kirk as well.
Good players, haven't they? That got them out of the League Two, and hasn't Dale left? Who did they lose last week?
Kirk, wasn't it?
Kirk. Was it Kirk?
Yeah.
They've just lost a lot of players that were very good and pivotal in that League Two side. I still think David Artell is a very good manager, but it'd be interesting to see how they fare. I've got them having quite a big drop off this season. But who've they played first 2 games? They drew with Cheltenham and then lost to Portsmouth. So
Yeah, I think I said this about 100 times, but not a team I wanted to put down there. But certainly a team I think they will be. I think they haven't got anywhere near the depth and they haven't got near the quality overall than the teams above them. So that will be the difference. Unfortunately, League One's only becoming better.
Yeah, if you lose 5, 6 very good players from your first 11, it's going to have an effect. There's no point pretending otherwise. They've lost Perry and G, they've lost Pickering, they've lost a couple of others. It's it's going to have a detrimental effect. But credit to Portsmouth, they got the job done. They kept a clean sheet and they got 3 points.
And Matt Williams just said, good evening, Matt. Crewe was so poor. Dale going off ill didn't help. But even so, they were very poor. And yeah, that's what we just said. They just lost too much quality and hopefully have enough to stay up because Artell probably, deserves to be managing at that sort of level. But I do worry if they start to drop off and Artell gets sort of maybe headhunted. We'll have to see, but too early to talk about that right now. But fingers crossed they can add some additions or bring some sort of fantastic academy players in like they have done in the past. Matt, you can read the screen to talk about the next game. I'll hand over to you. It was a late heartbreak for the Gills, and it's not looking too good at the moment.
It's been a sort of in and out start. We played Lincoln the first game, and we for 5 minutes we were very good, and Lincoln scored, and then we took probably 25 minutes to readjust. But from half hour onwards against Lincoln, who were a very good side, got to the playoff final last season, we were better than them, and we had a big chance second half for Dane Oliver. Probably if he gets the chance in a couple of weeks, scores and we win 2-1. And then we had that mad game against Crawley in the League Cup, which went to penalties, and we won 10-9 after 18 successful spot kicks.
Mad.
I didn't go Saturday, so I can't comment too much. I did the Monday review on my channel, and a lot of the stuff that was that I was talking about was information that I got from a fan who was in the ground. But everything I saw and read was we were decent first half. We were very good. We had a couple of chances with Dane Oliver, Mustafa Carayel have created chances, and Michael Cooper's made good saves. But by all accounts, second half we just didn't come out, and pressure, clearance. Eventually it's old, and Luke Jeffcott scores a very good goal. But I just think from our point of view, the goal's very avoidable. Unfortunately, we've had Ryan Jackson out. He came back, got taken off after an hour, felt his hamstring again. Ryan Bennett come on. He's not a right back. He's like a fish out of water out there. He gets caught ball watching for the second Saturday in a row. Then Carl Dempsey gets the wrong side of Jeffcott, can't make a challenge because he's in the box. It's a penalty. Daniel Phillips looks like he's marking the edge of the box, but there's no one there. I think if he just drops 5 yards, he's stood in sort of between the penalty spot and the edge of the D. He either stops the shot coming in at all, or he has a chance of blocking it. But take nothing away from Luke Jeffcott. It's a great finish into the far corner, and Jamie Cumming had absolutely no chance. I think the Gills fans' frustration was the fact that we just didn't look like we was trying to win the game second half. But we're missing loads of players, and that's not an excuse. People have injuries, but we've missed 2.5 weeks because of COVID pre-season. We lost 3 friendlies. Ryan Jackson come back, lasted an hour. Stuart O'Keefe, sorry, it was a fly.
It's all right.
Stuart O'Keefe took a knock on the ankle. He's out for Tuesday night. We've not seen Robbie McKenzie. We've not seen Alex McDonald. We've barely seen Ben Reeves. We've got kids on the bench. We need players. I'm not concerned by the Gills' first 11. I think in the players that we've got available, if we can get the strongest 11 out there, it's competitive in this division. But there's not a lot in behind it at the moment, which is a bit concerning. There was meant to be someone coming in loan from a Premier League club today or yesterday. Steve Evans said he was likely to be involved with his Premier League club because they had players missing. So I think every Gills fan was frantically looking at either left backs or strikers of a certain age that potentially coming in. It's now 29 minutes past 8 on Monday night. We've had the chairman's chats come out, and apparently he's spoken about Tina Turner and a pizza oven for 15 minutes, and there's still no sign of a new addition. Steve Evans said last week we've got no money to spend, so we're relying on favours. And aside from this loanee that was meant to be coming in, no one else is likely. So we're going to be going it with the last week of the transfer window with probably 18 players, of which, and then 2 kids, which is far from ideal. But take nothing away from Plymouth, and we've already mentioned that everything that went on Thursday evening. So we send all our best and all our love and all our strength to the Plymouth people, the city as a whole, not just the Argyle fan base. And I'm not going to begrudge them their 3 points. I'm not going to say that I'm not disappointed that we lost. I'd love to have hung on and taken the point, but if ever a town or a city and a fan base deserved 3 points on Saturday after everything that had happened, it was Plymouth Argyle. And Liam Martin's just made a comment and said that he's not hating on Gillingham, but Gill's goalkeeper took so long to take goal kicks against us on Saturday. That's frustrating. It was frustrating our fans at home parks. My response is, people do that up and down the country every game. So it happens to us, it happens to you, it happens to everybody. But, game of 2 halves, we were decent first half, didn't take our chances. We were rubbish second half and ultimately got punished.
Yeah, Ian Bradley's come in. Jordan Houghton, excellent again. Argyle's best player.
Reese's best player. He picked out Reese's best player for Plymouth as Jordan Houghton said. Literally everything went through him second half. He got his foot on the ball, spraying it about, and we gave him all the time in the world.
Yeah, not good for the Gills, and fingers crossed you can add some additions because no one wants to see a team struggle regardless of who they are. So especially when they're a host on the third tier. Morecambe Shrews. Now, everybody in their predictions had Morecambe very low down, and if James you're still watching, you'll still be smiling as we are today because it's another very, very decent performance. They're not here just to sort of turn up, are they, Matt? And it's another. Not only do they go to Ipswich, and again you can say it's a good time to play Ipswich, but Ipswich still had quality all over the pitch, and Morecambe went there and they were 1 minute away from making it 100% record, and I don't know what they're doing for the first goal. I don't know if you've seen the highlights, but Phillips gets brought down. It's an absolute horrendous tackle.
Absolute stonewaller, isn't it? Yeah.
What the defender's doing, I'm not too sure.
Daniel Og better, wasn't it? I think
the
young wing back, gets in a right mess and completely the wrong side. And
it reminded me a bit of Mitchell, Dimitri Mitchell for Blackpool, and he's now our left winger who's out injured at the moment, but he's not left back, and he absolutely slams him down, and Cooley slots away the penalty, and Stockton pokes home in the same half in a bit of a scramble, but pokes at home and gets that all-important second goal. They see the game out really well. I think there were spells of possession of up to 2 or 3 minutes, just seeing the game out, game management being absolutely superb. A couple of decent chances as well, could have added a third or a fourth. So looking at very well-drilled. And as James said on the pod a few weeks ago, the fitness fanatic, that is their manager. They've now got strength in depth, or you like to think they've got some quality in the position of versus Gills, etc., to be comfortable at the moment. And again, only 2 games in, you'll hear that a lot tonight, but they certainly don't look like they're in any trouble at the moment.
No, definitely not. And we said about Burton, didn't we? Momentum's a funny thing, and some people don't believe in it. I do. James is still smiling, he's commented, so he's definitely watching Evening James, and I'm sure Charlie's equally bullish and buoyant as he was when he came on the show a few weeks ago. And yeah, it's a great fairy tale. It's a great story at the moment, isn't it, Morecambe? And obviously, aside from next Saturday, I hope it continues, but I'm a little bit concerned at the moment, I won't lie, because they're absolutely flying and we're struggling to get off the ground at the moment. But yeah, Ian's right as well. Cole Stockton, this guy can finish. Wow. Hoping it stops tomorrow night. So, obviously it's Rotherham Morecambe tomorrow. But yeah, very good start for Morecambe. A little bit concerning for Salop, isn't it? I said at the beginning of the season that they've signed okay. Have they got enough cutting edge to really sort of push on? And who was the lad from Exeter that I mentioned? I've forgotten his name. Ryan Bowman.
Yeah.
Said if he can step up and sort of continue at his rate that he scored for Exeter over the last 3 seasons, then potentially they could push into the top half and a bit higher. But I think they're the only side in the division to not score yet, and that's a little bit of a concern at an early stage.
Yeah, and they had similar stats in terms of sort of shots, but Shrews I think they only had like 1 shot on target. Ultimately, if you don't shoot, you don't score, but you've got to get the ball on target, and stats can lie, can't they, when they've got the same amount of shots, but much more clinical, Morecambe. And I think, like you say, if they go 1 or 2-0 up this season, teams are going to find it very hard to break them down. Ipswich did it a couple of times, but we'll have to see. But worrying for Shrews, they need a decent goal scorer, and again, we'll have to see what happens over the next few weeks. But John Spurt, someone tweeted Morecambe highlights of Stockton basically having Pierre in his pocket was unreal to see. And Liam Spurt, our goal plays Shrewsbury on Saturday. Do you think we can win that one? If they're going to be as blunt as they have been, there's no reason, but you need to score goals as well. We've said both these teams quite low down in our 1 to 24s because you've got to take your chances. Ultimately, you did. Ultimately, you did Saturday, but you'll have to see how you crack on. Moving on to our next match, who have we got up? Wimbledon Bolton. One of these ones that you can talk all night about, I think. But Wimbledon got 1-0 up, and I think what Bolton scored either side. 2 goals in the first half to go 2-1 up. And then just after half time, kicks off 48 minutes, they go 3-1 up, and they seem to be cruising. They've got Sheen and Ofalanyan scored goals, but goals from Presley. Embroidy, I can't pronounce his name, for Wimbledon. They scored within a minute of each other to sort of draw them back and make it 3-3. So Bolton won't be too happy being 3-1 up, Matt.
No, and I think we mentioned on last week's show when you was on holiday that they certainly look like they're going to be entertaining this season, but they look like you can get at them, and they've now scored 6 and conceded 6 in 2 games. I'm not sure if the team's ever opened up the season with 2 consecutive 3-all draws, but weren't they leading? Was they in front last week and chucked it away? Or did they have to come back and equalise? I think
they equalised, didn't they?
I think
they were ahead,
weren't they? Yeah. But yeah, they're certainly going to be fun to watch. I'm not sure if you're a Trotters fan, it's going to be good for the heart rate. But you've got to credit Wimbledon, 3-1 down, first game back in front of fans at Player Lane, which is where I'm going tomorrow night. And I'm not sure we'll be 3-1 up with 10 minutes to go. I'm not sure we'll have enough players on the pitch, unfortunately. But you've got to give them huge credit, and you've got to give Michael Robinson credit. And he's certainly trying to change the way they play now that they've got no Joe Pigott. So certainly an intriguing team to watch. Wimbledon. Bolton will be fine. They've got good players. They've recruited really well, but they just need to sort out their defensive issues, I think, because going the other way, they do look a threat all the time.
Yeah, my notes say if you offered them 6 goals in the first 2 games, they'd rip your hand off. I'm not sure if you said you're going to concede 6 in the first 2, what they'll say.
They probably expect 6 points as well, shouldn't they? If you've
absolutely.
6 in 2 games, but
6 different goal scorers in that game as well, which is unusual to see in a 3-3. So moving on, coming up to 40-minute mark has been decent to talk of these fixtures so far. We've got a few more to get through. So I'm going to touch upon Sheffield Wednesday, Doncaster. A bit of a routine win, this one. Highlight of the match was Bannon's strike, which is absolutely phenomenal. I don't think he takes the touch, does he? He obviously touches it, but he takes the initial touch and just bends his leg back and absolutely swoops it in. It just shows his quality that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. The guy's utter class.
More derby as well, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and like you say, comfortable for Sheffield Wednesday. Bannon's too good for this division.
Yeah, a couple of decent chances, Doncaster, but ultimately it was quite a routine win and a bit of a scrappy second goal. But within,
a penalty as well, didn't I? I think Donny late on.
Yeah, saved. Yeah,
it wasn't a penalty for me. I thought justice was done. I can't see where. Who was it? Was it George Biles? I think it was. I'm not sure where he's meant to put his hands. The lad Noyles, the right back, hit it from 2 yards away. I'm not sure how he's meant to get out of the way, but Bogle hit the post. But yeah, Sheffield Wednesday generally looked comfortable. But I was listening to Ian Holloway on the Quest highlights, and he said Barry Bannon could be a substitute in the Premier League or certainly playing top end of the Championship. So that's concerning for every other fan base if he sticks around, because he's got an absolute wand of a left foot, and it's a wonderful finish, and it's an early contender for goal of the season. And Sheffield Wednesday going about their business quietly, aren't they, as well? They look to be recruiting fairly cleverly, and I think I've earmarked that as an away day in November, but I might change my mind depending on how they're playing and how we're playing.
It's a good stadium, is it, at least? Just don't worry about the football.
It'll be a good day, I'm just worried about the 90 minutes in between.
So routine win for Sheffield, and they got up the league 4 points now, obviously after the draw on the last week. Talking of goal of the season contenders, I know Ben got this one on his vlog. Yeah, Danny Andrew with an absolutely beautiful free kick to put Fleetwood 1-0 up, and they had chances as well. I think Morton strikes a ball straight at the keeper as well. He got a couple of half decent chances on the counter, and ultimately they were punished by a very decent Lincoln side who took their chances. Ultimately, talking about, again, goal of the season contenders, not potentially goal of the season, but certainly goal of the month contender with an absolutely incredible pass to set up Scully for his first, and that's quite a tight angle. Bends it in, puts them on one, and then again a bit of a horror tackle for the penalty, and slots it away, gets 2 goals, and gives Lincoln a much needed win to start their season. And again, Appleton knowing the league really well. Their signings have been very decent. They signed like 4 or 5 players within about 3 or 4 days, didn't they? And they've now got a squad which similar in size of last season. Like you say, up front, probably not the quality, but they certainly started to create chances in the second half, and 2 decent goals is definitely a decent equaliser, and they looked quite dangerous on the counter attack.
They're rumoured to be in for Gill's former striker as well. Apparently, they've had a bid turned down for Brandon Hanlon.
Lincoln,
and, yeah, it was rejected at the weekend. Bristol Post were reporting it, and apparently Hanlon's now declared himself unavailable for Tuesday night. So it looks like he's off. He's either claiming he's injured or wants to go and play for Lincoln. So I think Barton's done with him, to be honest. But it's an interesting one because I've always said, I like Brandon Hanlon. He works hard. He's got pace and power, and he'll create chances, but he's not scored enough goals. The big thing for me with Lincoln, and I said this to Gary on the Stacey West when we previewed their game with us a couple of weeks ago, was Tom Hopper won't score you 20 goals a season. He'll get you 10 and probably a few assists. They need an out-and-out goal scorer. Brandon Hanlon isn't that unless they're going to play him from the side. So it's a weird one for me, but certainly one to keep an eye on because, Brandon Hanlon's done all right in League One without really pulling up trees. But I like he's got all the tools to be a very good footballer, but he needs to start scoring now because he's had 3 seasons in League One and strikers are judged on goals.
Yeah, it's not something I'd be making. Hence my shock when you said that name. But if Appleton thinks he can get a lot out of him or is in his plans, then fair play. We all like to see a striker do well. So, like you say, watch this space on that one. Fleetwood, again, just they needed that better striker to score those chances. And now they're at the embargo, like Ben has just said, we'll see who they sign or if they can get anyone in that's going to make a difference to their squad. But again, if they're not sort of relegated like they are in my predictions, then they're certainly going to be just above the relegation zone. So Dom's just put Imps play a false 9. He is strong and fits the role. Yeah, absolutely. Like Matt just said, fingers crossed he can actually start to perform. This last few seasons he hasn't pulled up any trees. 3 more games to go, I believe. Yeah, so Wigan Rotherham, absolute scenes in the 95th minute with a Wilkin. Very brave header, decent delivery. And it's an impressive win against a very decent Rotherham side, Matt.
Yeah, should have been more goals in that game in the highlights. There's, both sides have missed 2 absolute sitters each, I think. There was 2 in the first half, and then Dan Barlace has hit an header that's managed to sort of hit the underside of the bar, but seemed to stay on the underside of the bar and went round and hit the inside of the post and come out. But then, Max Power, again, ex-Sunderland. I know Sunderland fans weren't hugely disappointed that he's left, but it's great delivery for the winner for Will Keane, and he sticks his head in and it goes in the bottom corner. And yeah, great scenes for Liam Richardson's boys, and they're up and running. We've said they've got a chance of having a go this season if they can gel quickly, and that will certainly give them a bit of confidence moving forward. Yeah, so Rotherham, I know Ian, who's watching tonight, thinks they still need more players in. They've got decent players at this level, but they still need to add. And I've probably got them missing out on the playoffs still at the moment. But yeah, close game, and ultimately it come down to someone finally taking a chance after loads of sitters were missed.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, again, like I say, punished for not scoring, but I think they'll both be up there in my opinion. I'd Rotherham second in the 1 to 24s, and I think they've got enough experience and quality in their team to do that. But Wycombe look like they've taken to the league a bit better than Rotherham at the moment, but we're only 2 games in, like we've just said 100 times. So, moving on to the last 2. That second from last game is Oxford, and arguably one of the results of the weekend. And who scored the first one? Yeah, fantastic, because it was a counter attack, wasn't it? So. Oxford on the counter attack saw Williams tap it in after a shot was parried. But I don't know if you've seen the highlights, but Charlton's defending for the second goal just sort of bounced around the box, didn't get it cleared, and Brannigan's poked home for the second goal, and all in a frantic first half. Washington gets a penalty, dubious again, close handball, wasn't it? All in the first half, no goals in the second half, and again, it's a very impressive win. And you said you had Oxford third in the 1 to 24s, and they are a team, and Robinson's the type of manager that just there.
Charlton second.
You did, yeah. No, you did. But second and third, 2-1, mate. It's close call, right? So can't argue too much.
Have to defend better, wouldn't they, than they did? I mean, you mentioned Ryan Innes for the second goal. It's absolutely awful. And I think McGillivray can do better for the first one as well. He just parries it back out into a danger zone. If he just shovels it out for a corner or out wide, then they don't have a problem. But yeah, it's two really poor moments defensively, and they give themselves a mountain to climb. But again, similarly to Ipswich, similarly to Wigan, they've got, Nigel Atkins has only been there 6 months. It's his first pre-season. He's trying to get his own ideas across. I think they've signed really well, but it might take a while. But yeah, it's not the greatest start so far at the moment.
And Oxford got their centre-back in the end and got formally off Blackpool for the season. So they've got a centre-back. I'm not too sure for the whole season how he'll do, but he won Player of the Month, I think, in October, whatever it was, and stepped up to the plate a few times where we clipped obviously the most clean sheets in the league, and he was a pivotal part of that, including games against Peterborough and Charlton away. So half decent sign, and if he continues his form like he did with Blackpool, then they need to sign someone. So the last game, Accrington-Cambridge, a decent 2-1 win. Butcher's first is a phenomenal finish, a decent sort of cutback, but he slams it home, and was it Harry Pell, wasn't it? A decent tidy header for the second goal, and a penalty too late for Cambridge, even the 80th minute. Houlihan pulling the strings again.
Was it a penalty? I thought the goalkeeping error, the Cambridge one in that one.
Oh, sorry, not penalty. I do apologise. No, Ironside, wasn't it?
For his legs, didn't he?
Yeah, Ironside, sorry.
First goal was brilliant, as you say. The first finish is unreal. Absolutely slams it into the roof of the net. Second one's a good header, but he's got about 8 miles. There's no one anywhere near him, is there?
What was the highlights? And I was like, it's a nice header, but
either defenders are all in a different county, aren't they?
Yeah, a defender a yard off him in front, and a defender not watching him from behind as well. So if he doesn't score that, it's criminal. But it's a decent win for Accrington to get their season off, and it's a sort of game that they definitely want to win. The Cambridge being sort of relegation favourites, if they don't win that sort of game, then you start to question, are they going to improve, or are they going to do a lot worse than last season? So a decent win to get them sort of their first win of the season and get them off and running. So moving on to the much anticipated fixtures. Can you see the... Huh? Tuesday, yeah, it game's Tuesday. Can you see the comments, mate? I do apologise, everyone who's watching. I can't see any more comments other than the Ian Bradley one. So we have to
we've got Charlie from One Rovers Vlogs who's still watching. Really appreciate the support, Charlie. I know you're struggling at the moment in League Two.
It's really fun.
Clint Hill's left. Ian Bradley's replied and put, if you're having fun. I think he's being sarcastic, in fairness, and I'm not sure Charlie's entirely genuine when he's saying it's fun. Joey Barton is apparently on borrowed time. Even his best mates had enough of him and left, and Clint Hill left over the weekend for personal reasons. So, all jokes aside, though, we hope it's nothing too serious for Clint Hill, and whatever it is sorted out. And best wishes to him and his family for that. But yeah, Rovers really starting to struggle at the moment.
I think,
yeah. We'll leave it there.
Literally on a borrowed time in both ways, I think. Yeah. Moving on to tomorrow's fixtures. Just have to take that comment down if you can, Matt. And I'll take that banner down. Why not? So we've got AFC Wimbledon Gillingham. Obviously, you'll be there tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a decent match. Accrington Doncaster, Burton Sunderland, Cheltenham Ipswich, Lincoln Bolton, MK Dons Charlton, Morecambe, Rotherham, Oxford Crewe, Plymouth Cambridge, Portsmouth Shrewsbury, Sheffield Wednesday Fleetwood, and Wigan and Wycombe. Any there that sort of tickle your fancy?
I'm going to say, what we're going to do, pick our games of the round, and then we'll just go through and say,
we can do some.
Let's have a look. I'm not going to do my own one. Burton Sunderland, that jumps out quite quickly. I think that could be an interesting one. Sunderland and Burton both started really well, both 100%, aren't they?
They are. Yeah,
they are.
That's why you're the host, Matt.
What else have we got? Lincoln Bolton, that could be good fun. MK Dons Charlton stands out. Oh, there's some good games tomorrow, aren't there?
Mate, I was about to say, I was going through these when I was typing them up, and there's about 6 or 7 games which they're not obviously massive in terms of being the third game of the season, but they're going to be really decent games. So you've already said
Burton, Sunderland, and MK Dons Charlton. If I had to pick two,
the one you picked out initially was the one I picked out. So Burton Sunderland's huge. Cheltenham and Ipswich for obvious reasons. Now they're both on a point. Ipswich need the win. Cheltenham are at home. They're going to put them under pressure. It'll be decent to see how they cope. Lincoln Bolton, it could be a routine win for Lincoln, but like you say, Bolton scoring as they are at the moment, but Lincoln's quality, they can score goals. MK Dons Charlton just lost away. They're now away, a very hard game. Morecambe Rotherham, again, we've had, will Morecambe continue, or will they be edged out by a more quality side? There's loads of games on there. In my opinion, there's going to be some very decent results. You have to ignore the date at the top, by the way. I forgot to edit that. It's just a user error and nothing else. But yeah, Wycombe at the bottom of the screen is another very interesting match because both playing very decent football at the moment. Wigan keeping the ball really well, but we know Wycombe are really well drilled and they can cope with that sort of pressure. So I can't see the comments. 2-1 Gills.
One up. Yeah, I'm just putting that up from Jonathan. Thank you, mate. Trying to cheer me up at the moment. Right, come on in, Tom. Let's go through and we'll give our results because everyone's asking they're doing theirs. So Wimbledon, Gillingham, you start.
2-1 Wimbledon. Sorry.
I'll take a point at the moment. 1-1.
I'm going to go 1-0 Accrington.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Doncaster are struggling. They've not really got a natural goal scorer. So yeah, I'd go with the same scoreline, 1-0 to Aki.
2-2. I'm going to go for tomorrow. I think Sunderland should win, but I like Burton at the moment. 2-2.
2-1 to Sunderland. I think this is a proper test, and if they can come out of this with three wins on the spin, I think then we'll start to take Sunderland really seriously. Yeah, so I'm going to go 2-1 to Sunderland.
I'm going to go 2-0 Ipswich.
I'm going to say 2-1 Ipswich. I think it'll be close. They've conceded in both their games so far, and Cheltenham have looked decent in patches. But yeah, I think Ipswich will finally get their first win.
I'm going to go another 2-1 win for Lincoln.
Just on that, Ian Bradley's put one a shock of the night. He's gone Cheltenham to beat Ipswich, so that's a big call. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Liam Martin says 2-1 to Sunderland, so he says the same as me. Oh, he's backed Cheltenham to win as well.
Cool, 2-0 as well.
Oh, fair play. Look at this. I like this. You want to get on these if you do believe this, because you'll be picking up a few quid if this comes off. Right, where did we get to? We got down to Lincoln Bolton.
I'm saying 2-1. Home side.
2-2. Well, it's got to be 3-0, isn't it? Surely. Bolton.
Mate, the odds on that at the start of the season, you'd be rich. MK Dons Charlton, 1-1.
Yeah, I agree. 1-1.
I can't call this. 1-1. Again, Morecambe Rotherham.
2-2.
Yeah, fair enough. Oxford Crewe, 2-0 Oxford.
Yeah, I think Oxford will win that comfortably. So, yeah, 2-0. I think, yeah, that's a fair shout.
Plymouth Cambridge. 2-1 Plymouth.
2-1 Plymouth. I look like I'm copying. I'm going first in the next one. Portsmouth 3, Shrewsbury 0.
2-0. There you go. I was going to say a comfortable win, but I think Shrewsbury are resilient. It'll be one of those games they break them down and just pick them off. So 2-0. Sheffield Wednesday, Fleetwood. Go ahead, mate.
2-0 Wednesday.
Yeah, same score difference, 3-1. I think Fleetwood will get a late goal, but yeah, Sheffield Wednesday will be comfortable. And then Wycombe, I am going to go 2-1 to Wycombe.
Oh, I think this will be a score draw. I'm going to go 1 each.
Yeah, I think, again, Wycombe will just be, they'll get their goal and they'll defend well enough to pick them off again. But we'll get these put out on our Twitter and see who's correct come tomorrow night, or should I say Wednesday morning. We'll see.
So I'm going to forget before we put the prediction tweets out tomorrow. I forget what I've said.
Well, we can listen back, mate. You can.
Oh yeah, I could just make it up and have 2 scores, and then I might get one right.
Modern technology. I can't see for some reason. I'm so sorry. It just says new comments when Ian Bradley's Lincoln comments there, but won't let me scroll down anymore, and I don't know why. So Here we go. It's just reloaded. Thank you very much, Liam, for getting involved. I'll take a picture of this and we'll see how well you do as well. John's I thought Tom was meant to be your friend. If you just saw his monologue on Gillingham, mate, you can see why I predicted Gillingham to lose. But I hope for Matt's sake they do decent. It's going tomorrow as well. So, right, 5 minutes to spare before the hour mark. We move on to Saturday's fixtures. Hope these are correct because I've had a very long week. We won't go through what we like out of this bunch. We're just going to predict them off the bat with 5 minutes to go. But you may go first with all your predictions if you want, Matt. First up, we have Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, that's a good game. 2-1 Rotherham.
1-1. Bolton, Oxford.
Bolton, Oxford. 2-1 Bolton.
I was about to say it's either going to go 2-1 either way, but I'm going to go Bolton to pick up a victory. 2-1 myself. Cambridge, Burton.
Cambridge, Burton, 1 each. I think Cambridge might get something in front of the home fans.
I'm going to go another Burton win. I think Cambridge are going to do well in games, but not going to have enough quality, and I'm going to go 2-1 Burton. Charlton, Wigan.
2-1 Charlton.
Charlton have got 2 odd games as well, MK and then Wigan as well. So they're a big test for them after losing to Oxford. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, do you say 2-1 Wigan?
2-1 Charlton.
I'm copying you now. 2-1 Charlton for me. Crewe.
1-1.
Crewe to pick up their first win, 2-1. Doncaster, Portsmouth.
2-0 Portsmouth.
They've got 2 nice games, haven't they? Can't disagree. I'm going to say 2-1 Pompey. Fleetwood, Cheltenham. Massive.
1-1. I just can't see where Fleetwood's goals come from this season, unfortunately. I really can't.
Yeah, same with Cheltenham. 2-2. Gillingham, Morecambe.
Put Liam's comment up. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's the wrong game. It moved. Liam said 2-0 Gills. I'm going to upset James and Charlie, but Gills need to win a game sooner or later. So I'm going to say a nervy 2-1 win for Gillingham.
He must be talking about the last set of results because Plymouth haven't been mentioned on this one. He's gone 2-0 a goal in the previous round. 2-0 Gillingham, did you say?
2-1 Gillingham, I've said.
2-1 Morecambe. Sorry. 2-1 Morecambe. Hopefully I'm wrong for your sake. Ipswich MK.
2-1 Ipswich.
Yep, don't disagree. Yeah.
Quite a big shout coming in from Dom Clark.
Wow, yeah. Not sure it'll be that easy for Morecambe. Say easy, but I don't think. Still very hard team to break down, Gillingham, but they just seem to have that bit of spark at the moment, and they'll continue to ride that wave for a few more weeks, in my opinion. But I'll go on 2-1 Ipswich as well. Shrewsbury, Plymouth, 1-1.
0-0.
Yeah, 1-1, 0-0. It's going to be very, sorry to say it, maybe poor draw, but we'll see. Sunderland, Wimbledon, 2-0 Sunderland.
Yeah, I agree, yep.
And then you'll pick for the last one, mate, Wycombe, Lincoln.
2-1 to the home side. Wycombe to win.
I'm going to go 1-1. Yeah. So, yeah, get your comments in. Keep them coming in.
But poor Matt can't disagree with Saturday. Is he disagreeing with you or can't disagree with you or can't disagree with me, Jonathan? Come on, help me out.
Put some context in it. While we do that, we'll look at Liam's. Please, I'm travelling to the Shrewsbury game. Please, no. Yeah, we'll see. But I'll take that down. We'll get our predictions up for sure over the next couple of days, especially for tomorrow night, and we'll give you the chance to comment underneath as well, Liam. So if you don't follow us on Twitter, make sure you follow, and then you can comment. And if you're not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. I think we're nearly at, I don't know how many we're at now.
Flushed over to 9 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely. Bang on the hour mark. So please subscribe. We'll put the link out for the audio in a minute. I'll just download it and put it out there. But please subscribe to the YouTube channel, guys, and please keep following on Twitter. We'll have player stats, match stats, and a few more sort of stats coming out as the games tick over. There's no point me putting a home table up or away table up just yet. But certainly lots more content coming out. And our next live show will be on Monday. Thank you all for listening, commenting, and viewing, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Good night, Matt.
Good night, Tom.
And I hope my predictions. So there's no awkwardness next Monday, but we have 2 games to dissect next Monday, so it might be a slightly longer show. But we'll welcome back Graham next week as well. He's off at work this evening. But from the third tier, it's a good night.